portion of the day. Thanks for your contribution.
Oh,
and
no,
for answering the question. I just wanted, me and Mike just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining us for this year's UK IGF. We hope that you all agree that it's been an incredibly interesting day, but we wanted to run through really quickly just some top takeaways from the day for everyone.
Thanks very much. So I'll start by summarising this morning's session. So this morning we heard from Neil Ross at Tech UK about their plan. And we heard about how that plan encompasses both the benefits of technology whilst trying to address what happens when things go wrong. We also heard about challenges around skills adaptation, scale up for SMEs and micros, improved use of technology within public services, particularly within the NHS and Ministry of Justice, and improving access to data. But these challenges were not unique to the UK. And despite these challenges, the UK tech sector remains optimistic about them, were the key takeaways that I had from Neil's presentation. Moving to the panel that we had on data protection in an AI-driven world, I mean, one of the things that really struck me throughout the course of the day really was that we're having conversations this year that we wouldn't have had last year. And I think it was Georgia who referred to that ChatGPT has really been game-changing in terms of the political approach to artificial intelligence. We also heard about the delicate balance between protecting people's personal data through the use of the General Data Protection Regulation and the use of special category data. I thought Lord Allen's remarks around previously the sector has just acted and then asked for forgiveness, and that will be changing through the introduction of greater regulation was also an important point to be taking away from today, and that the sector will have to get used to that. I also thought we had a flurry of excellent comments at the end from the floor, which I think are questions that we should reflect on as we move away from the UK IGF and maybe take these through to Kyoto as well. Are we running a moral panic on AI? What are we doing about the quality of the data sets? Are humans in the loop likely to help? Do we rewrite data protection law? Do we rewrite IP law? And what are the ethics around the regulation here? All some massive questions. So I think we came away from that session with more questions than answers. And then just quickly to summarise on the cybersecurity session that we had an excellent session on the geopolitical tensions at the moment. And really, there is a renewed threat of conflict among superpowers, the state of geopolitical competition, sustainable development, and the information space more generally. I thought Boyana made some excellent points around data sharing, about how this is incredibly important for enabling participation. The regulation of data sets, data can create fragmentation, and it's also a major asset, but creates risks for people handling data as well. And I particularly was struck by the comments that she made, and I think this was a nice phrase, was a new deal for data, one that moves us beyond adequacy and to more multilateral arrangements. And then in summary, at the end of that discussion, we had a bit of a discussion on the UN systems and processes that we have in place, touching on things like the Budapest Convention, the Ad Hoc Committee on Cybercrime, the Global Digital Compact, and also the benefits of some of those standard setting bodies, which need to be truly multi-stakeholder. And we've also seen some of the benefits this year, such as them being multi-stakeholder by ICANN's decision not to remove Russia from the domain name service. So they were my key takeaways in terms of a really quick canter through what happened this morning.
So this afternoon we were joined by Ian McCree from Ofcom. It was really interesting to see Ofcom's work trying to understand the complicated online safety landscape. And it was especially interesting considering online safety is so much about a user's individual experience, instead of being something quantifiable, something that we can easily measure. Our first panel of the afternoon talks about internet fragmentation and a shared digital future, and it was so great to hear more about what the UK could take forward to the IGF on this and around internet. I've realised I can't read my writing, so this is really great. Internet fragmentation. Similarly, the discussion around kind of the UK's differences internationally. For example, how the UK blocks CSAM content instead of stopping it just at the source, and kind of how parents have that control over children's internet usage and what they're able to see, and whether that's something that we want to take forward as a red flag. Our next panel this afternoon was on gender and the internet. It was really interesting to explore a bit more deeply the flow between both online and offline harms, and how solutions may not always be perfect and a good idea, considering that the regulation that they stem from can often be biased itself. And then finally, our last panel this afternoon was on digital transformation. The discussion around the need to see skills and upskilling as an ongoing and evolving process was really important. And it was really interesting to see how the panel discussed about how it should be looked at a bit more holistically, talking about barriers being not just to digital skills, but also lack of devices or lack of internet. It was also a really good point was made that school leavers nowadays have 5 decades worth of work ahead of them. So it was interesting to see how the panel discussed how we can continue that upskilling through people's individual career journeys. And then finally, we heard from the Minister, and his comments around the importance of conversations like this really resonated. It really brings to the forefront the importance of us all gathering together to discuss these issues that we have done today, to share experience and expertise on the topics. So today's discussion will be summarised in slightly more legible notes made available on the UK IGF website, and will be submitted formally to the IGF, which will be taking place between the 8th and the 12th of October in Kyoto, Japan. We'll also be making the recording of the panel sessions available at the end of this week on the website. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to also thank ICANN, Nominate and the IGF steering group for all of their work on this event today.
And finally, just to wrap up, if you'd like to join the UK IGF steering committee or contribute to next year's panels, we'd love to have you along. So please email us at info@ukigf.org.uk. That was a bit of a mouthful, and Nominate as the secretariat, and we will liaise with you on that. So that leaves me to formally close this year's UK IGF, and I hope you will all join us for drinks and nibbles all the way downstairs, all the way to the bottom of the stairs, I'm told, to network and continue the discussion from today. And thank you very much for coming along.